In 1848, he was sent to preach in the Canary Islands. He walked everywhere. The people called him Little Father. In Lanzarote, he accepted to ride a camel. They couldn't believe it was him, and some even said, "We will not listen to him because he is not the missionary of Gran Canaria." Leaving them, he said,
"These people from the Canary Islands took my heart away."
He returns to Vic in prime springtime. It is time to start a community of missionaries. He begins to talk seriously about it with his close friends. The bishop gives some rooms in the seminary and the old Mercey convent. On July 16, 1849, the priests who would later become the first missionaries to live in a community held a meeting.
I based my first sermon on those words of the psalm. "Your rod and your staff give me courage," alluding to the Virgin Mary and the Holy Cross.
He speaks from profound experience. It's the benefit of almost 10 years of intense apostolic action.
A son of the Immaculate Heart of Mary is a man on fire with love, who spreads its flames wherever he goes. Nothing daunts him. His only concern is how he can best follow Jesus Christ and imitate him in working, suffering, and striving constantly and single-mindedly for the greater glory of God and the salvation of souls.
A new seed grew at the Church of Jesus. The Congregation of the Sons of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. The life of Claret was on the verge of opening up to new horizons, weaving the gospel with colours of the Caribbean. Shortly after the foundation, the Bishop of Vic informed him of his nomination as Archbishop of Cuba.
I was overwhelmed by the nomination.
He refuses repeatedly, and because of his loyalty to the Pope, he ends up accepting. At the end of 1850, he headed for Cuba. He would be a bishop missionary and would live in a missionary community. For 14 years, the immense Diocese of Santiago didn't have a priest. There were many shortages. He completely becomes dedicated to the silent masses of the poor, the slaves, abandoned children, and prisoners. He was a social bishop. He would create savings banks, set up agricultural estates. He would fight for the dignity of women. Claret would share with the population his dedication to Our Lady of El Cobre and to the suffering from the great earthquake and is exposed during the cholera outbreak. However, the Archbishop's sermons supported the slaves, and this alerted the landowners. The independent movement looked at him scantily because he came from the metropolis. Loyal to the gospel, he annoyed some groups. The most remarkable event of a persecutory campaign is called Holguin. He just finished preaching.
A man stepped forward. Suddenly, his arm flew back, and he brought the razor he was holding down upon me with all his might. I can't describe the pleasure and joy I felt in my soul on realizing that I had reached the long-desired goal of shedding my blood for Jesus and Mary.
Claret felt his mission endorsed in a difficult and hostile world where he faced a cruel fight between light and darkness. In Cuba, he would collaborate with Mother Antonia Paris for the foundation of the Religious of Mary Immaculate Sisters. He supported or accompanied other women's institutions. Claret's strides endured a turning point. Painfully, he left the simple people because the royalty ordered him to move to Madrid. The most complicated trauma of his life started at the court. Elizabeth II wanted him as her confessor. The Queen was a victim of political manipulation. Claret treated her with the dignity that she deserved as a human being. He would live outside the palace, austerely.
The thirst for material goods dries out the religious feelings of modern societies. I wanted to face this great situation in poverty.
He always practiced this. Now the contrast was greater.
I've had nothing. I wanted nothing. I refused everything. I feel like a bird in a golden cage.
He was driven by the missionary desire. He would preach without giving truce to churches or convents of Madrid, Sant Isidro, St. Barbara, St. Francis, Montserrat. He would take advantage of the Queen's trips to preach the gospel all over Spain. He would leave a wake of good, but like the teacher, he too was persecuted and suffered many attacks. At La Granja, he had a mystical experience of identification with Jesus Christ. He was the president of El Escorial for 10 years. He wanted to transform the monastery into a big cultural and evangelical centre. He accompanied the dethroned Queen Elizabeth. He briefly lived in Paris, where he collaborated in the religious care of Latin American immigrants. He participated in the First Vatican Council. Persecuted into exile, he had to seek refuge in the Abbey of Fontfroide.
I have only one wish.